Back in January at the Düsseldorf Boat Show, we were the first to tour this exact boat, the brand new Princess F58. And in that video I said it all seems well and good from the safety of a boat show stand, but I must reserve final judgment until I've driven it. Well, that is exactly what I'm going to do today. And though the stone hasn't dished up much in the way of chop, we should be able to see how it performs. And this thing should go, because this 60-footer has got 2,400 horsepower. Let's see what it can do. I'm Jack Haines, welcome to YachtBuyer. First things first, some housekeeping. We have done a full tour of this exact boat at Düsseldorf. It's already on the channel, so you can go and have a look at that. I'll put a link in the description below. We've also done a 360 tour with a 360 camera, so I've walked through this boat. From that one you can look around as I walk through. If you really want to see the detail, go and have a look at that. I've put all the links in the description. This is all about what the F58 is like to drive. Now ultimately this will replace the F55. And they've made a bit of an engine choice change. So the F55 had Volvo Penta D13s, 900 horsepower, 6 cylinders, 12.8 litres, 3,300 newton meters of torque. This boat has got a pair of V8 MANs, 1,200 horsepower, 16 litres, obviously it's got 8 cylinders, but most importantly, the most important number, 4,000 newton meters of torque. In total, you've got 1,400 newton meters more torque. That's what you feel. The power is one thing, but in the context of a big plane event like that, like this, I should say, torque is more important, and you feel that throughout the rev range. So when you get out of the hole, it gets up and goes really nicely, but then mid-range, I just bury the throttles, we're doing 25 knots now, you get a noticeable little pickup in performance when you do that. And that's really nice. It's nice enough on a calm day, but when you really feel the benefit of that torque is in a heavy sea. You know, the torque is what's helping you get out of the troughs. It's what's helping the boat work if it's working hard against the sea. So that's a really valuable addition. In terms of performance, it's pretty good. On a two-way run today, we've gotten 35 knots flat out, and it cruises really happily at 25 knots. For around sort of 250 nautical miles on average, I'd say. And the thing is, once you're on the plane, there's really not much of a penalty in terms of fuel consumption. So you can really choose whatever speed you want to travel at. You know, at sort of 15, 16 knots, you're getting similar sort of fuel use as you are at 25 knots. Now, it's a fast fading boat. It's designed to travel quickly. Sure, if you drop it down to 11 knots, you'll get around, I imagine, 600 nautical miles. It's not really about that. It's about getting up to this 25 knot speed where it feels really, really comfortable. And the other thing about travelling this speed is you can enjoy the handling. It's a shaft drive boat, straight shaft drives, and the feel is absolutely lovely. It's the same with the F55. You know, for a Flybridge boat of this style, it doesn't necessarily need to handle this sweetly, but I love that Princess take the time to make sure that it does. And this is a heavy spec. This is about as heavy a spec as you could put on an F58. All the more impressive that they've hit those performance parameters, but it's got the hard top. It's got an even bigger gyro than the option on the options list. It's got air conditioning, the hydraulic platform. It's got absolutely everything, but it still feels nimble, agile. I talk about driving it in heavy sea. If you want to hand steer it, especially downwind, then having this sort of agility is really helpful. It's not necessarily about showing off to your mates. There's an actual use at sea for this handling if you need to avoid an obstruction. Even if you're going upwind, you can choose the most comfortable path through the waves because it just reacts so nicely and predictably to the wheel. There's a really nice amount of heel. Yeah, the balance is lovely. What about the driving environment? Well, one thing I really like is that they have made the dash much more upright. Everything is up and in my face. Often it's tilted away, harder to see and harder to use. Here I can sit back, and because it's all upright, it's really clear. I've got Marine MFDs on either side. I've got a central screen with my engine information, and everything's nice and close. This seat is adjustable, so I could side of it closer if I wanted to, but I can also adopt this position, leaning back. I can see the bow, I can see all my controls, I can touch the wheel. Okay, it's really calm today, but this feels absolutely lovely. They've even put a hard control down here for the Marina MFD, so I can use that to move through the screens if I don't want to use the touch screens. I can see they thought hard about the ergonomics here. I've got storage, I've got space for my navigator, they can get out between this gap if they need to. I'm in the middle of the boat, which is nice. And we've got the heart off open at the moment, so I'm open to the elements. Nothing to complain about here. It's a really nice driving position, and they've got nice dash material too. Looks expensive, but should wear quite well. There's not too much glare. Yeah, I'm happy up here. Should we see what it's like downstairs? Right, the lower helm. Obviously, it's a fair bit quieter down here. We're not contending with the wind noise. And we took some sound readings earlier on. At that 22, 23 knot cruising speed, you're looking at, you know, less than 70 decibels. And for context, that's probably about the same as your car on the motorway. So really, when you're down here cruising at those speeds, easy to talk, you know, not too tiresome on longer journeys. It's not very rough today. We're getting some wash from the commercial ships that are moving up and down Southampton water. Not really going to be able to put the hull through much of a test. Now, I've talked about the handling. Very, very sweet. Steering is a little stiffer down here, strangely. But you still get the same response when you turn the wheel. And the view is great. This mullion's quite thick, but the view forward, because you are quite a long way forward, and also, you know, you sit quite high. You know, you feel very in control. Very few blind spots looking aft as well. And yeah, I like this commanding position. Similar to upstairs, the dash is sort of angled towards you, which is great. It's a bit further away, but you can see everything really clearly because it's not sort of tilted back. So you've got really good oversight of everything, really. And again, you've got that switch down the dash so that you can use that to control the screen, so you don't always have to lean right forward to use the touch screens. No side door, obviously, but this is an electric window. In fact, you've got electric windows on both sides to get some natural ventilation. And obviously, if you are controlling the boat from down here at slow speeds, you can communicate with the crew, though I think most of the time you either can do that from the Flybridge or the docking station. Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice driving environment. You've got your navigator next to you, similar seats to upstairs as well, with the armrests, so you can sit back and still feel like you're in touch with everything. In terms of tabs, didn't really cover those up on the Flybridge because you don't feel like you need them. You don't, on a calm day like this, you don't really feel like you need them here either. Interestingly, in some of their own testing, Princess has found that they actually got a bit more top end with the tabs engaged. I'm just dropping them down now. Certainly don't need them from a view perspective. And really it sits very nicely at this 25 knot cruising speed. This really does feel like the sweet spot. As I said, there's no massive penalty in terms of fuel consumption, so you may as well travel a bit faster and enjoy the handling, which you really can do. It doesn't get flustered in any way when you dial in a bit of lock. We're now wide open throttle, full lock turn it back on ourselves, and it's all really very uneventful, which is a good thing. As I said, this is not really the type of driving this boat's designed for, but it's nice to know it can do it if you wanted to. And it certainly looks good on the drone. Couple of waves here. It's about as good as we're going to get is creating our own wash on a day like this, in the mist. Yeah, I was mentioning the torque up on the Flybridge, and I think that really is the key takeaway from the transition from the Volvos in the F58. You can just hear it's a little bit hard work lock to lock down here, but yeah, the torque of these MAN V8s is really welcome when you're doing silly stuff like this, but also, as I said, when you're in heavier weather. Well, it certainly passes muster at speed. Let's head back to the marina and see what it's like at slow speed, and we can also talk about this joystick. So this particular boat has got the Aventix joystick fitted. It's a cost option, and what that essentially gives you is IPS style joystick control with a twin shaft drive boat. So, you know, it's a joystick. You push forward, the boat moves forwards, you pull back, it goes back, but of course you can also twist to turn as well. So you twist the top and it will engage the thrusters, but it would also sense if you need more movement. It can also bring the engines in to play, and if you push across, then again it will use what it deems it needs to make the boat move depending on the conditions. So, don't know whether you can hear, it's just using the thrusters now. I'm pushing hard across and it's just moving the thrusters across. They're of course proportional thrusters, so you can use them individually as well. You can use them with the throttles, you can berth it in the traditional way if you want, but if you want joystick control, you've got this option. The other thing that this gives you is
similar to Volvo's DPS system. So, you know, like a sort of virtual anchor, you can push a button, it will hold the boat in position. Really useful if you're sort of single-handed or there's a couple of you and you want to crew the boat. You know the boat's going to stay still while you head out onto deck, and you can do fenders and the lines, and you know the boat's going to sit still. If you're waiting for a bridge or a fuel key, that is very, very handy. Whether you need it for slow speed, it's a little bit jerky in and out of gear. It's not as slick as IPS. I talked about the torque at high speed. Well, you can feel that now as you're in and out of gear. It's a little bit severe, actually much softer on the thrusters because they're proportional. So it's a nice option to have. Not quite as slick as maybe a pod drive version, but if you feel more comfortable using the joystick, which obviously takes a lot of the thinking out of it because you're not juggling 2 throttles and 2 thrusters, then it's a handy addition. And you've also got, as an option on this boat, a third station in the cockpit. So if you're berthing stern 2, you can use that, and you can be very close to the transom when you're coming stern 2 into the berth. Well, driving the F58 hasn't dissuaded me from my initial impressions at Dusseldorf. It felt like a boat that had been really well designed, and out on the water it performs very well too. It's calm conditions, so hard to talk about the seakeeping, but certainly dynamically in terms of handling and performance, it's probably the best performing boat in the sector, and that jump to the MAN engines has made a big difference that you will feel day to day. Downsides, I think they could have been braver with the deck design. If you look at the likes of the Galleon 560 Fly, the Squadron 58 from Fairline, there's a lot more going on, especially in their cockpits. This is quite simple, but in most other areas, this is a really refined package. And remember, if you want to see our full tour, we've done that already. There's a link below this video, plus a 360 tour, so you can look at it in really, really deep detail. Do let me know what you think of the F58 in the comments below. Thanks for watching that sea trial of the F58. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like if you did. If you want to watch our tour from Dusseldorf, that's up there. If you want to watch the 360 video, that's down there. If you want to subscribe, please click up there. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.